5:30 p.m.
Progress.
Oops, sorry. Thank you. We will call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone to our regular board meeting at Vancouver Public Schools on Tuesday, April 11th. Before we get started, I wanted to share a few thoughts and reminders. We want our boardroom to be a welcoming, safe space for all and any of our community members and guests. As this is a business meeting, we do expect those in attendance to conduct themselves in a respectful way. We would ask that you do not interrupt the meeting, and if there's an immediate need that you have, such as audio concern or questions, please move to the back and let one of our staff members know. As a reminder, there is a designated space for any video recording and/or media. We will now get started with our business meeting and the items on our agenda. We will now do a roll call. Director Tucker.
Here.
Director Sproul.
Here.
Director Smith.
Here.
And Director Barros.
I am here.
And I am also here. We are all in attendance and we have a quorum. The first item on our agenda is our superintendent report. Dr. Snell.
Thank you, Director Zavala. I will share my screen here. Welcome back. This is our first meeting since spring break. It's nice to see so many people in attendance this evening. I know that we're going to recognize several teams and students and some staff as well. So we appreciate you being here. This evening, just since the last time we had an in-person meeting, the board did hear a book appeal and had to determine whether the Instructional Materials Committee applied the appropriate criteria for that book and whether that committee followed the proper procedures. And so the board did rule on that and kept the book in the library. We've had school safety again on the front of our minds with another too many shootings. And so that's something that I know we've heard from parents and families and staff and students about. And so something that we continuing trying to address and just always feel like we should acknowledge that when we come together. The legislative session is scheduled to be concluding on April 23rd. Sometimes the sessions go long, but at this point, it doesn't seem like it's going to go long, which is helpful for us as you all are trying to approve a budget that's largely dependent on what the legislature does. So at this point, both the House and the Senate have released their budgets and are working towards a compromise budget. So 12 days from today, hopefully we will know what the impacts of that session are. Typically, when the session concludes, it does take a week or so for analysts to understand the impact of any decisions and how that may trickle down to us as school districts. So this evening, I want to just give you a quick update on our highly capable programming committee. And then we also have a couple of guests to share an update on our strategic plan. So as you know, the highly capable committee has been meeting all year. I guess they got started in late October and then I've been meeting pretty frequently. Really just a shout out and appreciation to the staff and community members and people that served on that committee. About last year at this time, the board had directed the committee to investigate options as we move forward. And so this is a draft of kind of what they're proposing. A continuum of services really for students who are identified to receive highly capable programming that starts on the left side with kind of the least intensive services to the right side, which would be a self-contained classroom or classrooms. And you can see the indicators of students that would be identified for those kinds of services. The committee did also delineate a couple of, oops, I'm sorry, I clicked a little too fast, a couple of recommendations or set of recommendations, I should say, for year one, and then the following couple of years. And so I know the board's been briefed on these, but just at a high level, continued coaching and professional development for our staff is a key for every initiative that we do. Moving towards more universal screening to make sure that we aren't missing students who could benefit from these services, starting in kindergarten and first grade with identification processes, looking to pilot some of cluster modeling at some of our schools. And then, like I mentioned already, some intensive high cap, more self-contained type of classes, and then really see how that plays out in year one as we move into the following years. And you'll see some similar things continue on this. In addition, the committee really focused on elementary services this year. And so there's been a desire to think about that K-12 continuum and how those services continue to unfold for our students and their families. Also, we've received a lot of professional development opportunities and sent staff to Whitworth University. They're located in Spokane and have been regionally a strong partner around highly capable services and programming and offer a lot of development with that. And so it's a partnership that's been fruitful. And so would like to continue that. And then again, continue to monitor and support implementation. And so just wanted to brief the board on that and see if any questions or comments before I invite our guest speakers tonight. Okay. For our strategic planning update, for those who have been frequent board attenders, you know that we try to give an update on this process each time that we come together. And tonight we have two members of our steering committee that are here. If you recall, we have a number of advisories, including students and staff and family advisories that come together about monthly over the course of this year. And then each of those advisories send representatives to the steering committee group. And so tonight, I think we have Chartisha and Tracy. I thought I saw them come in. Are you? Yes. I invite you to the podium and just kind of give an update from the steering committee. And I can advance the slides for you.
Hello, I'm Chartisha, and this is Tracy. And like was stated that we do meet about monthly, and our last meeting was March 30th, where we reviewed several strategic plans from different school districts and just kind of dissected what elements that we liked best and what we're hoping to implement in the strategic plan.
So basically, the district partnered with Point North, which is a consulting firm, and they reviewed 50 different plans. And from those, they narrowed it down to 8 examples for the strategic planning core team to review. From there, they looked at it and went down to 5. And then those 5 were reviewed down by the board of directors, who showed our group 3 of those. And those were the 3 that we looked at, and we found the things that we liked, the things that maybe didn't work so well. And then based off a rubric that they also put together is how we said what worked and did not work.
So pretty much the framework that while reviewing the different strategic plans is that we want to make sure we're representing our district profile, our values, missions and vision, strategic direction, district goals and objectives, making sure that they're attainable, and we are setting measurable goals with that indicating our key performance and measurable outcomes, and also throughout all that, looking on ways that we are being inclusive, and we're looking at it through an equity lens, and also creating access, whether it's in a different language, or could you pick it up in a written form, or making it user-friendly on a computer as well. And then also branding. How does that branding look throughout the whole strategic plan?
So the first one that we looked at was at Chicago Public Schools. And if you take a look right here, you can see some of the comments that our committee members mentioned that they liked about it. One is that, and this one, just so you have a visual, this is the one that we saw that was fully online. The other 2 we saw paper copies of. One of the things that we really liked about Chicago is that it was very interactive, and it was really bright and colorful, and the branding was really good on that one.
The next one we looked at was North Shore School District. And I think what was kind of lacking in the Chicago one is that they didn't have like goals listed or outcomes. And so we liked that this strategic plan had goals and objectives and measurable outcomes. So that's why we looked at that one.
And then the last one, which was Bettendorf Community Schools District, what was really good about this one is it had you can measure it, you could see percentages and what the goals were, so you could see what they were hoping to have accomplished by a certain time, and you would know. And off of that, we can, I think, go to the next one. Not yet. Sorry, we're almost done. So we took a look at all three. They were very different. Each school district is different. Each demographic is different. Obviously, we don't know what they use to determine what they wanted to look at, but it was really helpful for us to knowing what our rubric was to see examples, real life examples of things that these districts looked at and what we could incorporate for ours.
Next slide. So we meet next week, and then the May board meetings, 2 other members will come and speak about the update then. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions from board directors?
Thank you for the update.
Okay, I think that's it for the superintendent's report.
Next, oh, go ahead.
I totally forgot.
It's okay.
We have tried to bring back and make sure that each meeting we touch base on the budget. So I do have a couple more
Oh, okay.
slides. I apologize, Director Zavala. There isn't a lot of new information here. When we were in March, we talked about enrollment trends, and that was kind of where our initial analysis for the budget was to determine staffing. Again, all those are projections for next year, looking at the classes as they roll up. One of the trends that was highlighted in March was that we are graduating larger classes than we've been taking in for the last several years. And so that does affect our overall enrollment. And it's something that's kind of hard to make up the difference as those large classes graduate. So that's something we're going to continue to focus on. And then I mentioned April is when we're paying attention to the legislative session. And so the update with the legislature kind of fills you in on where we're at with the budget update. Now I'm done. Sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Stump. Now we have our time for our special recognitions. So first we will start with our Excellence Awards. Tonight, the board will recognize the recipients of the April Employee Excellence Awards. Executive Director of Human Resources, Jeff Fish, will read the name of each recipient and a short description of why the employee has been chosen to receive this award. If you are a recipient, once your announcement is read, please walk to the podium so we may present you with your plaque. Please then pause for an individual photo in front of the backdrop. At that time, the recipient may return to their seat, but please do not leave yet, as we would like to take a group photo after all the recipients have received their plaque. We will repeat this process with the other award winners until everyone's names have been read and they have received their plaques. After the final recipient is awarded, everyone will be invited back for a group photo with the board president and superintendent, Jeff Snell. If you choose to leave after this group photo is taken, we ask that you exit quietly.
Thank you, Director Zavala. It's time to recognize the April Employee Excellence Award recipients. The following employees were selected by a committee of their peers for commitment to the students and staff of Vancouver Public Schools. These recipients are among the many outstanding nominees who create a caring environment and positive workplace through their exceptional efforts. During this celebratory portion of the board meeting, clapping and cheering for each recipient is welcome and encouraged. For more information about each recipient or to submit a nomination, please visit the district's website. Our first recipient is Stephanie McDonald, a teacher at Fruit Valley Elementary. Stephanie is an amazing second grade teacher at Fruit Valley Elementary School. She has a bright, outgoing personality and is an inspiration to others. At the heart of her work are her students, and she develops a strong bond and relationship with each child to support them in their schoolwork and social interactions. Her kind and loving approach helps the children manage any situation. One nominator shares, "My words don't even start to describe how amazing she really is." Thank you, Stephanie. Our next recipient is Stephanie Ortquist, a paraeducator at Eisenhower Elementary School. Stephanie is a very important member of the Eisenhower Developmental Skills Classroom team. She is always positive and shares so much love with her students. Her extremely gentle, thoughtful, and caring approach creates a very happy classroom space. Besides her commitment to students, Stephanie is supportive of staff members and serves as a helpful mentor, offering her colleagues guidance and support. Her confidence and love for the work are evident in all of her kind words and actions. Thank you, Stephanie. Our next recipient is Kayla Richardson, a supported communications teacher at Ogden Elementary School. Kayla is an incredible asset to special education at Ogden Elementary School. She has a positive impact on students in her class with her calm, steady, and happy presence, even in stressful situations. There's a lot to manage in her classroom of students who have individualized needs, and she does a wonderful job of communicating with parents to share concerns and celebrate progress. One nominator shares, Kayla is exactly the kind of teacher we need. Thank you, Kayla. Our next recipient is Kevin Thomas, a building operator at Thomas Jefferson Middle School. Kevin is a friendly, supportive building operator who has an amazing attitude and is always ready to help with a smile. No project is too big, and he promptly addresses the needs of the building. Kevin also serves as a role model who builds community in the school, and he has a wonderful relationship with students and staff, knowing almost everyone by name. In addition to his duties as a building operator, he serves as a coach for flag football, basketball, and track. One nominator shares, Kevin Thomas is one of the gems of Thomas Jefferson Middle School. Thank you, Kevin. Our next recipient is Poonam Vaswani, an SIS application specialist at JPC. Poonam is an important member of the ITS team who is committed to excellence in her work. She manages complex, intricate operations with great attention to detail, and she approaches the work in a thoughtful and caring way. Besides her skill and accuracy, one nominator shares she is a hidden hero, someone who is humble and gives of herself to serve students without expecting anything in return. She is also a trusted team member, checking in with others and offering a comforting ear. Thank you, Poonam.
Congratulations. Now we will recognize our students and staff and celebrate their accomplishments. Executive Director of Human Resources, Jeff Fish, will read a brief remarks and the name of each recipient. If you are being recognized, please walk to the podium. So when we present you with your certificate, please then pause for an individual photo in front of the backdrop with the board president and superintendent Jeff Snow. For the sports teams we will recognize tonight, the coach will proceed to the podium to introduce their teams. As team members' names are read, athletes should walk to the podium to receive their certificate and then stand in front of the VPS banner. Once all the names have been read, Superintendent Jeff Snell and I will join you for a photo. If you choose to leave after this portion of the meeting, we ask that you exit quietly.
Thank you, Director Zavala. First, we have the National High School Dance Federation Outstanding Teacher Award, which goes to Jackie Sachs, VSAN. The National High School Dance Festival is the largest dance festival in the United States, showcasing excellence in high school dancing programming since 1992. At this year's festival in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Jackie Sachs received the Outstanding Teacher Award, recognizing her commitment to her students and the art of dance. Congratulations and thank you, Jackie. Next, we have a student recognition. Coca-Cola Scholars. The scholarship goes to Nora Van Rees, VSAA. The Coca-Cola Scholars Program Scholarship is an achievement-based scholarship awarded to students in their final year of high school. Less than 1/6 of 1% of applicants were chosen to receive this extremely competitive award. These 150 students who were selected from an initial pool of over 91,000 applications from across the country not only exemplify superior leadership, service, and academics, they are change agents positively affecting others in their communities. Please join me in congratulating Nora on this great achievement. Next, we have athletic team recognitions. We'd like to recognize 2 high school teams who placed in recent state athletic competitions. First, we have Columbia River Girls Bowling, 2023 state tournament, second place, 1A, 2A. Congratulations to the Columbia River Girls Bowling team for their second place win in the 1A, 2A division. I'd like to introduce Logan Burnett, who will offer a few remarks and introduce his team.
Put my glasses on. Good evening, I'm Coach Logan Burnett, and let me start off by saying that Columbia River Bowling had a lot of highlights this year. This is arguably the best team that River has ever put together, and it's been a real honor to coach them and see them grow over the years. Addison Capson and Kylie Jo Wazinski were nominated as Athletes of the Week by the Columbian for outstanding performances. River Bowlers went 13-2 on our season, and we were co-league champions for 2A schools. We set records for the highest game and match score in the history of our program against Ridgefield, as we scored 1,054 points and a match total of 2,359. The team took third place at districts, wrapped up the season with second place at state, just 15 pins away from winning it all. At the state tournament, we set a record for a Baker game, scoring 268, which is just 3 strikes shy of a perfect game. Additionally, Sadie Burrows placed 3rd overall as an individual, and her cousin Kylie Jo Wazinski finished 8th. 3 of these girls, Sadie, Jamie Green, and Kylie Jo, have placed 2nd at state every year of their high school career. I think that we should have won the state tournament in 2021, but COVID shut the tournament down. So we can all dream, right? So I'd like to introduce Sadie Burrows. Addison Capson. Patience Favel. Jamie Green. Pax Marino. Desiree Thiebert. Kylie Jo Wazinski. And I'd like to just announce that Coach Solberg wasn't able to make it tonight because he was at a track meet for against Fort Vancouver. So thank you.
And next we have the Skyview Girls Bowling Team, the 2023 state tournament second place for 4A. Congratulations to the Skyview Girls Bowling Team for their second place win in the 4A division. I'd like to introduce Eric Sylvie, who will offer a few remarks and introduce his team.
Good evening, Dr. Snell and the Board of Directors. My name is Eric Sylvie, and I am the outgoing head coach of the Skyview Bowling Team. We've had some great success in the past couple of years with our program. We did finish second this year at the state. Last year, because of Zoom board meetings, we didn't get to be recognized for our first place, but that's okay. So this year, we ended up in League 15-0 in the 3A, 4A league. And we also went on to 2 tournaments, one in Morton, Washington, where we placed second, and one up in Tacoma, where we placed third. We then advanced on to the state tournament, where we ended up finishing second, like our friends, the Columbia River. As you can see, the west side of town dominates bowling. The girls had a lot of success this year. We ended up with 2 young ladies on the all region team and 3 on the all first team all league. Okay. So I'm going to call up my players that are here. We only have a couple here because we have spring sports and jobs. So first up to come up is Addie Case. The other one that's here is Casey Pine. Casey, we're gonna have to get you your certificate.
Okay.
Good job. Also in attendance, not attending tonight, is one of our coaches, Ron Henderson. And in attendance tonight is Jackie Nelson. And also in attendance tonight is the incoming head coach, returning, Tracy Chun. Thanks. That's us. I have.
One, two, three.
Thank you, everyone. Congratulations. So next on our agenda, we have our audience participation, our citizens' comments. Citizen comments is a time in our meeting where the board administrative staff welcome comments from the public. If you would like to address the board and did not have an opportunity to sign in at the start of the meeting, please do so now. You may continue to sign in at the time during the citizen comments portion of our meeting. We ask that you approach the podium and state your name and affiliation with the district for the record. You will have 3 minutes to make your comments. When you hear a chime, please conclude your remarks. If you have materials or additional comments you would like the board to review, please hand them to staff in the back of the boardroom. This information will be provided to the superintendent and the board. Because most matters require fact-finding and review, and state's Open Public Meetings Act restricts deliberation on topics that have not been placed on the publicly noticed agenda in advance, the board is not able to respond to any public comments made at this time. If follow-up action is necessary, the board will ask the superintendent to work with administrative staff to consider the information and respond accordingly. As a regular business meeting of the board, we expect the audience to conduct themselves professionally and courteously. Speakers are also expected to be respectful. We ask the audience to refrain from clapping, cheering, or commenting while others give public comments, whether you are in support or against. We recognize that there are diverse beliefs and feelings across our stakeholders in our district. The one thing that we have in common is that we all want to do what is best for our children. We are here today to work towards their future. The board asks that personnel complaints be submitted in writing. Disruptive conduct may cause the meeting to be adjourned and all audience members to be removed. The board appreciates, listens, and cares about the board at the broad range of perspectives in our community. Thank you for your comments. We will start with those who signed online. So Joseph Walker. Or is he on Zoom, Jefferson? Okay. Rachel Garbuzov. Okay. Rachel, are you here? You can go ahead, go to the podium and state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Rachel Garbuzov, and I'm a senior at Heights campus in the Open Doors program. While my family is originally from Tajikistan, I was born in Vancouver, and I've been attending VPS since I was 6 years old, from Minnehaha to Jason Lee to Hudson's Bay. I made so many relationships over the years of attending VPS with most of my teachers and students. However, bullying was a big problem. It was normalized by most of the students and seemed to be overlooked by many of the adults. It has caused harm to not only the students, but the teachers as well. I've witnessed it way too many times, and I also experienced it, and I want to make sure it's brought to everyone's attention. While the adults in our schools did address it in class, there wasn't much of an effort or a system to help students feel safe and comfortable to come up and tell them what was going on. Many students felt unsafe and uneasy, so they just kept quiet. The past 7 years of my life, attending school was horrible. I was primarily bullied for my culture. I was too different and I didn't fit in with them. It started with my accent and the way I dressed, and eventually carried into the lunchroom, where I was teased about the food I brought to school. The older I got, the harder it was for me to attend school because I was so embarrassed. My poor attendance caused my grades to drop. Then eventually I decided I didn't want to be around students who have no respect for me or for anyone around them. The teachers didn't understand why I missed so much school and showed judgment rather than compassion. My experience in comprehensive school was very negative. I didn't learn about the different cultures and religions. I didn't feel safe enough to share who I truly was. When I joined the Open Doors program at Heights, I was encouraged to learn about and celebrate not just my culture, but the cultures of my peers as well. For one of my competency projects, I took the opportunity to share with everyone about Eastern European food by making an authentic dish for my teachers, students, and some of the staff members. I collaborated with another Open Doors student from Iraq so we were able to really dig in to each other's cultures. Projects like this are encouraged in our program, where we are a community, a safe place for students to come and learn and get a proper education to eventually enter the real world. Lastly, I hope this gave everyone an open mind on bullying and what truly a student can experience.
Thank you, Rachel. Next, we have Kim Sloan.
I am Kim Sloan, and I'm one of the teachers at the Heights program. And we thought we signed up strategically in order so I could sort of introduce Rachel, but it didn't work out. But I do want to tell you that Pearl and I teach in the Open Doors program, which is competency-based. And one of the competencies the students can meet is citizenship. And a couple of months ago, when Pearl and I came to the meeting, we thought, what a great opportunity for our students to come also and either listen or share something that, part of their experience in VPS, but it doesn't have to be just a big complaining session. And I did not want to come tonight. I didn't have anything prepared to share. I didn't really have anything I wanted to talk about. I had my kids at a track meet and I had to leave it. The other ones at home. Demo started on my bathroom today. But I had 3 reasons that I came, and that was Matthew, Ava, and Rachel, the 3 students that came with us tonight. And so I wanted you all to know that that's why we keep showing up. One, we'd like to make you aware of things, but we just are providing opportunities for our students, for them to come and just learn about what's going on and that they actually have a voice. So I think that's really all I wanted to say. And this was an accident that I thought there was going to be some river thing, but that was from the track meet. Yeah.
Thank you, Kim. Next, we have Pearl Griffin.
Hi, I'm Pearl Griffin. I use she, her pronouns. And just to call out the shirt in the room, it does say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And it's a Star Wars thing. So, talk to me about that later. So I teach also with Kim Sloan, the Open Doors program at Heights Campus. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak and share this experience with several of our students who are here tonight as part of their citizenship competency. Returning from spring break always brings with it the needling thoughts of planning for next year. Spring is the time of the year when many of our students are completing projects and publishing their work. This takes many forms as they are able to choose their topics and mode of publishing. We get anything from physical pieces of art to music compositions to YouTube how-tos, which leads me into the issue that I want to address today. At the beginning of the 21-22 school year, YouTube was blocked from VPS devices. Myself, my teaching partner, and our admin advocated strongly for our program to get that access returned. Because our program is entirely interest-driven, many students choose YouTube for research and publishing purposes. A requirement of our inquiry process in our class is to identify a target audience and then aim to reach that audience in an authentic way. In order to do this, our students need access to YouTube. Right now, they have to use their own personal devices, which is an equity issue for anyone who does not have that access. We are well into the 21st century, and yet one of the most used tools of the modern world is blocked. How am I to teach? And more importantly, how are they to learn if that access is denied? My ask is that YouTube access be reinstated at the high school level on VPS devices. Let's be 21st century educators. Let's not ban, but build. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Pearl. Next, we have Mike Gilaneo.
My name's Mike Gilaneo, and I've been here several times. And I just have some questions that I put together. And I know they won't be answered by the board or the superintendent, but here they are. If there are more than two genders, how many are there? And where's the scientific proof to back that up? And what does pronouns have to do with educating students? And then I heard last month from a counselor here in the VPS school district that there's a Rainbow Club at Anderson Elementary. And my question is, does the school sponsor that? Do you think it's okay to push gender confusion on students who are still developing both mentally and physically? I think we need to stop this teaching transgender and LGBTQ curriculum in the schools. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Now we have James Clark.
Good evening. My name is James Clark. I'm a parent in the Vancouver School District. I just wanted to talk a little bit about identity politics because my son was bullied kind of like the other student talked about, kind of along those lines. And I'm concerned about the postmodern ideology that seems to be rooted in critical theory. That also seems to be permeating our educational systems. Immigrants from Romania, the former Soviet Union, China, and Vietnam know that leftist groups that course, these ideologies don't care about the marginalized groups they claim to be championing. They see these groups as a way to leverage power and undo society, whether it's women, trans people, people of color, etc. They use the people in whose name they speak to further their power. True liberalism champions free speech, clean water, clean air, colorblind society, civil rights, freedom of religion, protecting the vulnerable, diversity of thought and viewpoints, honest science, freedom to debate, discuss, and disagree, and many other good things. The postmodern leftist ideology that is rooted in critical theory has been called many things: leftist, socialist, communist, Marxist, neo-Marxist, woke, the woke left, identity politics, fascist, anti-fascist, etc. It is rooted in critical theory, which is a philosophy and school of thought that divides people into identity groups based on race, sex, gender, sexual orientation, age, class, body size, degree of disability, religion, etc. These groups are arbitrarily assigned a status of oppressed or oppressor. If you're in a group that they decide is a dominant power group, then you are an oppressor. If you are in a more than one of their subordinate groups, you are oppressed, marginalized, and a victim. Personal character, merit, and the achievements have no bearing on whether you are privileged or marginalized. You're placed in your boxes by your extrinsic, outward, immutable characteristics. This allows you to be easily judged as good or bad by the larger group because most of these identity groups are easily observed. This is a way of judging people that is extremely illiberal, unscientific, and divorced from objective truth. This ideology is divisive, and adherents redefine words to suit their purposes. They hide behind virtuous words like acceptance, compassion, love, equity, inclusion, diversity, etc. But they have redefined these words not only to apply to those who accept their dogma. This ideology is dangerous because it results in an Orwellian dystopia, dystopian society. And okay,
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Next, we have Charlotte Latte.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. Charlotte Latte, she, her. I am the teacher here in VPS, and I also live here. I am the MTSS and Social Emotional Learning Multi-Tiered Systems of Support Specialist. I want to just talk about two things. The first is our gender inclusive policy, which has recently passed. And my time I spend in my day is all over our district. And what I'm hearing a lot from teachers, counselors, and admin is that our gender inclusive policy falls short of affirming students' identities. And so though there's permission for LGBTQ identifying students to meet and create space, that's very important. But our policy does not affirm their identity outside of space, outside of the classroom. And so teachers, counselors, admin do not feel like the district will support them in supporting LGBTQ students being affirmed through the curriculum and in classroom spaces. And I think that there's been some recommendations to look at other policies, like Evergreen has a paragraph in their gender inclusive policy that we do not have, that would make sure that we're not falling short when we say gender inclusive, LGBT inclusive. That means that we are affirming of their identities. So I just wanted to reiterate that. I think that was touched on last time I was here. And then I also want to just talk about Panorama. So I spend a lot of time with our Panorama data, and we have two surveys that we offer. And in May, starting May 1st, will be the final window where we'll have a student survey, a family survey, and staff survey. And so just want to make sure the community is aware that that is an opportunity to share your voice and to talk with your students about the Panorama data, and just making sure that they have the opportunity to participate in that. And one other thing that is related with the panorama data, our school information system, our SIS student information system, does not allow students from the LGBTQ communities to be identified in that data. We have no LGBTQIA in our SIS, which means when we're looking at data and disaggregating it, it would appear that we don't have any LGBTQ students. And that is just simply not true. And our students know who they are. And I feel like we've historically, institutions perpetuate the erasure of identities. And when we're aware of that, we need to disrupt it and change. So any way I can support, I'd be happy to do that. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. Charlotte, next we have John Girard.
Hi, my name is John Girard. I'm a owner of a business here in town, Quail Homes. We've had 3 kids go through the school district. My wife here is Vina. She's been a district employee as a teacher about 20 years, I would say. What we're handing out, last meeting I was at, we talked a little bit about these toolboxes. So these boxes were made by students at Hudson's Bay. And what's kind of neat about it is they have what they call a CNC machine, and they etched in Rosie the Riveter. And we want to be promoting women in construction. So we're really working hard at growing a base of kids that actually want to come into our industry. So one of the projects that we talked with Dr. Snell and his team is working with kids on the elementary level. Let me see my phone here. Oh, second. On May 31st, as a pilot project, we're going to be working with Washington Elementary School. The kids at Hudson's Bay will be setting up a pre-cut toolbox like this that will turn into this. And they'll be working with kids at the elementary school. There'll be 50 of them. And then they can doctor them up and take them home. Thought I'd share that with you. The idea behind that is to get younger kids working with their hands and getting comfortable. Then we'll have a junior high program, and that at Hudson's Bay, kind of a highlight, that will be we're working on a skilled trade center, and a private donor, anonymous, has agreed to put in a significant amount of money, and we're working on plans, designs to have a building that will be building tiny homes. And kind of a neat announcement is I'm working with 6 to 8 schools doing this, that we'll be building tiny homes. And Vancouver Housing Authority has agreed, since we've talked, Dr. Snell, they will be the backdrop to buy these tiny homes to help with the affordable housing problem that we have, which I think is pretty neat. And then the last announcement, I'd like to invite people here and also the school board members, is on May 16th is a new building at Evergreen High School, which will give you an idea. Some of you have been there already, and that'll be a grand opening. And they'll have a building there doing exactly that, building tiny homes and teaching these kids some really good skills. And we'll be bringing employers in to where we'll start getting jobs for these kids. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, John. Next we have John Perry.
Hello, thank you. My name is John Perry. I use he, him pronouns. I am both a citizen and parent within the Vancouver School District. I would like to express my appreciation to the brave students and community members who have come before you, expressing support for student equity, gender equality, and student privacy, among other topics brought before this board. Advocating for what you believe isn't always an easy thing to do. It requires courage and confidence, and my respect goes to all those speaking today. Running a school board can't be easy. There will always be parents that don't agree with your rules, your curriculum, your dress code, which books are carried in your libraries, etc. For those who disagree, there's a process for questioning these decisions and a reasonable expectation that their grievance will be heard and perhaps acted upon. Sometimes the school board may gather enough feedback and information and change an established policy. Sometimes, try as you might, things may not just go your way as a parent. It is our responsibility to teach our children that in situations like these, as in life, that tomorrow is another day. There will be another chance to let your voice be heard. But what is not acceptable are those community members who have made it their mission to intimidate teachers, students, and this board with threatening tactics, speech, and letters. There is no place in this community for this kind of behavior. Personally going after specific teachers or board members in order to get your larger point across is over the line and unbecoming as a citizen. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, John. And that concludes our citizen comments. So thanks to all of you who have shared public comments. As I mentioned at the start of our meeting, the board cannot respond directly to any public comments or questions because Washington State's open public meetings law requires the districts to provide advance notice of topics that will be discussed. Although we cannot respond to individual comments, it is important that we state that the board's unequivocal support for each and every one of our students. All of our students value and deserve to be respected for who they are. We welcome, value, and promote diversity among students, employees, and our community. Again, thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts with the board. We are now going to move into our action items. The first on the list is approval of minutes for our March 14th, 21st, 23rd, 27th, and 29th meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? We will move to a vote. All those in favor in approving minutes, Director Decker,
Approve.
Director Sproul,
Approve.
Director Smith,
Approve.
Director Barrows,
Approve.
and I also approve, and the motion passes. We are now going to our consent agenda. This is a slate of items that's set for approval under our instructional and administrative support. And we also have items under our fiscal support services. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussions, comments, or questions? No. Seeing that there's no discussion, we are going to put it to a vote. Director Smith,
Approve.
Director Barrows,
Approve.
Director Sproul,
Approve.
and Director Decker.
Approve.
And I also vote to approve, so the motion passes. Under our regular business, we have a couple items. Dr. Snell, could you share with us a little bit?
Yeah, thank you, Director Zavala. We do have 4 items that are first readings of policy that the board has seen in our committee of the whole meeting. And I'll turn it over to Marilee Scarborough to just introduce each of the topic or the policies. If the board is okay, we could do all 4 of those and then entertain any questions or comments at the conclusion of those 4.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Snell. The first policy is policy 4311, School Safety and Security Services Program. This is a new policy. Beginning this school year, the legislature requires that the district's safety and security staff complete specific classroom and on-the-job training. The law also requires the district update their policies to describe the specific training requirements. So this new policy outlines those training requirements. The second policy you have before you is policy 3421, Child Abuse and Neglect. The proposed policy revisions clarify the role of mandatory reporters. The revisions update the definitions of child abuse and neglect. In addition to the policy changes, the updated procedure delineates the mandatory reporter process, which includes making an immediate oral report by telephone or to law enforcement within 48 hours after notice of child abuse or neglect. The third policy you have before you tonight is policy 3230, searches of students and student privacy. These proposed policy revisions reorganize the policy language to focus on overarching principles governing student searches and seizure of property. All the policy language related to the process for student searches is relocated and included in the accompanying procedure. And the procedure language is revised to serve as a guide for administrators in determining reasonableness of a search at inception and reasonableness in scope. The final policy you have before you tonight is policy 2411, Certificate of Educational Competency. The proposed policy updates are recommended in response to revised OSPI regulations. The revisions include new eligibility requirements for students taking the high school equivalency test, which is commonly known as the GED. And the policy also clarifies the application and decision process for determining whether an individual has a substantial and warranted reason for leaving a high school program. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I know with the safety policy, the board requested to see some draft procedures as well. A lot of times the policy is just pretty high level and the procedures give more insight into the actual application of the policy. And thank you to Marilee for providing that to the board. With our policy, the first reading happened, so there's no action requested tonight. And then the second reading would be in our May board meeting, which we would ask for your action to potentially approve these policies. I should also note that with some of these, like this certificate of educational competence, I know in this legislative session, there's additional graduation requirement kinds of legislation, and often these policies are updated based on what happens related to graduation requirements at the state level. So it's not unlikely to see, it's likely to see these again each year as they're updated. So.
Thank you, Marilee, and thank you, Dr. Snell. And now we have our board of director reports. Do any of our directors have anything they would like to report to our community? We just had spring break, so.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's just spring break.
We're getting back into swings. So our meeting is now over. We are now going to recess to executive session, where we will discuss personnel to discuss the performance of a public employee, no action to follow. We will be in executive session for about an hour. So thank you so much for being here today. It is now 6:27. Hello, it is now 7:27. Our executive session has ended. No action was taken. Thank you so much.